And the exercise for this week is to take this little dog house and first create a UV layout for it. And as a review, UV layout is taking these faces and unfolding them and splitting them up so that they can lay flat. And then once we have a layout, we want to go into some image editing program such as Photoshop or GIMP or whatever you have available. There's actually one in Maya I'll show you that will work. And I want you to create a basic image, some kind of image, maybe some boards or bricks or roofing materials, some graffiti, whatever you want. But I want to see that you have been able to map your house and create an image according to that map that will be applied to the side. And that's what I'm looking for. And in the exercise itself, the discussion online, I want you to present a couple screenshots. And in this view, nothing rendered out. We're not doing any fancy rendering this week, but just it can be just a simple screenshot at various angles with, I think it's 6. Yeah. If you hit number 6, it'll show any textures you have on. And so a screenshot, and I also want to see your UV map that you created. All of this does not have to be connected in one mesh that's unfolded. So I could take the roof and separate it and then take the rest. I think that's what I would do. I'd do the roof first. That doesn't mean separate it from the object, that just means in the UV map. So let's take a look at how we would do that first of all. We've got two major windows we're going to be working with. It's the UV texture editor is the first one, to have that available, and the other one is going to be our create UVs window. So the layout would start, I would come perpendicular to this large face here and select my faces. And because this angle is the same as underneath, we could go ahead and select the ones. We're going to have to get these later, but that camera angle is going to be just right for now. These are going to be upside down. We'll have to flip them once we get in, but that's, so let's take a good kind of perpendicular view to this best as we can, and do a UV map, planar map. In the camera angle, apply, and we want to take our projection width and height. I think last time we did it in the attribute editor. You can also do it in the channel box, and it says 8, and this is probably one of the largest ones we have. So I'm going to bump these both up to 10. And I'm looking at this red T, if that's in the bottom left. Alright, so we have our first roof. And when so select off of that. And what you'll notice, a couple tools in the UV texture editor. First, the shell tool, you'll use it a lot. That's once you create something. It allows you to select everything that is a continuous mesh. So this is the roof we just created. I'm going to move it out of the way, and you notice this piece is separate. That's the underside of the roof we just created. So I'm going to move these out of the way. It looks like we'll probably have to scale this down eventually, but do not do it yet. When it's time to scale, you want to scale everything down together. So I've got that side. Let's go ahead and do the same, just a repeat of this side and underneath as well. If I can see stuff. Where are we? It's tricky to be able to get to these, so I think I have that whole underhang here. Alright, same thing, we want to position our camera so we're looking pretty much perpendicular, straight down on that face. And create UVs, planar map, Actually, my window's already up. Again, we can do the same thing. Apply. We're going to take this to 10 again. And kind of while it's still selected, still move that out of the way. And then we can separate kind of the underside from the top side with my shell tool selected. Shell tool is kind of annoying once you select it. You kind of have to hit Q to get out of it. So let's take a look at our edge here. I'm going to select these three and I'm going to hit sew and see what happens. Oops, I selected something I didn't want to. I'm right clicking edge, select that one, that one, and that one, and if we did it right, they should sew together. So the top of my roof is done. Now we have to decide, how do we want this to unfold out? So we have these faces here. I think we could just keep coming this way with it, and then we could go ahead and attach that bottom piece this way as well. We may have to flip it. So let's try that. And I'm going to just do the roof for you, and after that I'm let you do the rest, and I may show you a little bit of what I'm looking for in terms of video editing. Not video editing, image editing. Alright, that looks good. Create UVs, camera, apply. The T's at the bottom right, which is good. And the straighter you can make that line, the better. I didn't have my camera very straight, but that's alright. We'll still make it work. Still 10. I'm going to bring this down here. We're going to go to the other side and do this one as well. We want to look. If that ground plane's in the way, you can hide it or just get rid of it for a second. Let's get out of here. Alright. So I'm looking at it. Again, camera, apply. We go to our numbers there. Alright, so we have this shell tool, and we want to try to find out. We select this edge, hit Q to get out of the shell tool, select these edges here and sew it. Alright, that worked. And since we did the underside, we can go ahead and do that. What I'm thinking is it's going to come in and it's going to start overlapping our UVs. You want to avoid overlapping UVs, but it'll probably come in wrong. Then I'll show you how to fix that. Yes, it is. It's coming in and it's flipped the wrong way. So I have to hit Q. I always forget that to get out. So notice this object needs to be flipped. So I'm going to select it and then hit this one. This button here is going to flip them in the other direction. And now when we go to hit Q and then edge, they should, yeah. So now those aren't overlapping on themselves. You want to avoid, you're spreading those out. You don't want anything folded on top of itself. We'll probably have to do the same thing on this side. Actually, that one was fine, but this one will probably need to be flipped. Yep, see how it's folding in on itself. So we grab the shell tool, turn it, and now we should be alright. Q to get out, back to the edge. now we just have this front section here, which I'm going to do this all together, and then I may have to break this once I start adding it to the rest here. You'll see what I'm talking about. So I have the front, and I'll go ahead and get the back at the same time since it's the same angle, and this one will probably be an exact X projection. You see the X going front to back. We'll do an X, apply the T's in the bottom left. We'll hit these to 10 and bring back our UV texture editor, and we'll see what happens when we go to this edge here and we sew it. Now I don't want to go past it. I'll actually show you what happens. So that is overlapping. We don't want that, so we're going to have to oh, they're both in there. I was wondering what was happening. So let's take them and separate them. Now one of them's okay and one of them's not. Edge. Alright, so that one needs to be flipped. So we're going to flip it. I'm just going to flip it upside down and see if that does the job. Q, edge. The idea is you want to have sewn as many as possible. And now this is the same as that, but if I go to sew that, it's going to mess up my geometry. That's why I kind of did it. And then that curve here, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to separate this edge here. We're going to have to cut it, and which separates this, and then we can hit Q, and then we can sew that back, and then we go and sew this piece here. So that's kind of the process. We don't need anything down there. We just repeat for the other side. And I think this one will be okay. There's no overlap. We do have to go and cut it, and then move the shell, and then hit Q and select our edges here, sew them, and then sew the edge back together. So we have our roof done. Okay. Now, if I'm guessing the roof is going to be a completely different material than the rest of the house, so I'm going to go ahead. I can go ahead and scale this now. This will probably be all joined together in a UV map, and the roof can be at a different scale. That's fine. So I'm going to grab these UVs here, and I'm just going to move them down. These are the ones we still have left. And it looks like you can just do a front projection. It's tilted, but it's not tilted. You could do a camera projection, camera projection, camera projection, camera projection. So I've done the hardest part for you, but you are going to need to go through, and you're going to need to know what cut means, and sew, and the shell tool. Those are the three, and you may have to flip once or twice. This will rotate your like if I have the shell, this will rotate. This will turn on and off your image once you put an image on there. So at the end of it, everything that's going to be on your image map needs to be in this 0 to 1 space, or it won't be in your UV map. That's where I'm going to stop. You're going to need to do the rest of it, but now I want to change gears. In this next tutorial, I'm going to show you some options you have in Maya for creating the map.